Charlie waved his hand. No, you send me at this time, the Wade family will be aware of the clues. Go and see Cynthia, and by the way, see what she has planned next. Isaac nodded slightly. Master, then I will go and see your aunt first. Charlie reminded him. Take a look at Cynthia's return plan to see when she leaves. Besides, I must be guarded against her going to see my wife, understand? Isaac suddenly shuddered and stood up straight and respectfully said, Master, don't worry, I understand. Charlie did not put Cynthia in his eyes, but he also worried that Cynthia would think of other ways to save the country. She wanted him to divorce Claire on her own initiative, and then return to Wade's house. He rejected her directly. Then, if she went to find his wife, it would be a bit tricky for him. After all, Claire still doesn't know his identity. And he didn't plan to let her know. At least, he didn't want his wife to know his identity before he found out the truth about his parents' death and successfully avenged his parents. After Charlie left, Isaac turned back to the hanging garden. At this time, Cynthia was already furious on the spot and her blood was boiling. The prepared Western dining table had already been lifted by her, and the ground was full of mess. Because there was a lot of broken glass ballast on the ground, the female supervisor of Hanging Garden was afraid that Cynthia might accidentally injure herself with the glass ballast, so she hurried over with 2 waiters to clean it. Cynthia was full of sorrow and anger and had nowhere to vent. Seeing that the supervisor came with 2 waiters, she was immediately furious. She went up and grabbed one of the girls. She raised her hand and pulled her face. While beating, she cursed and said in her mouth, "Did I let you come? Did I let you come?" The girl was slapped several times, crying and begging, "Miss you, calm down, I am afraid that you will be injured by the glass ballast, so I came quickly to clean the glass ballast." Cynthia's heart was still very angry, and even increased a bit of strength in her hands, and yelled, "Bastard thing. I let you out, you can come out, I don't let you out, I better not even see your..." Seeing this, the supervisor hurriedly stepped forward and begged, "Miss, don't be angry, this was my own opinion, so I ran into you." Cynthia observed angrily, kicked the supervisor's stomach, and cursed coldly. "Things that don't have eyes. All 3 of you have been fired. Get out." The supervisor was kicked by Cynthia and sat down on the ground. The ground was full of glass ballast, so she immediately felt a few pieces of glass ballast pierced into the flesh. However, at this moment, she did not care about the severe pain caused by the glass ballast. She was pale and clutching her belly, and said in pain, "My stomach hurts. Lily, please call me an ambulance." Lily was the other of the 2 waiters. She was not beaten by Cynthia because she was standing a little far away from her. As soon as she saw the supervisor holding her stomach and her face in pain, she immediately asked with concern, "Sister Nan, are you okay? Hold on, I'll call 120. Cynthia looked at the supervisor contemptuously, and said disgustedly, "What kind of pity do you pretend to be in front of me? Do you want me to lose money to you?" The girl who was dialing the phone suddenly rebuked, "Why are you like this? Sister Nan is 3 months pregnant. You are still kicking her belly. If the child has something long and too short, no matter how much money she has, it can't solve the problem." Cynthia couldn't help frowning, and said coldly, "What are you? Dare you to talk to me with this attitude?" The girl blurted out without showing weakness, "We are human. Not a thing. Even if we are not as high as you, our body is given by our parents. Why are you hitting us?" Cynthia is almost furious. She grew up so big, in addition to behaving like a good woman with her tail clipped in front of her father, no one had ever dared to disobey her and talk to her in such a tone. But here today, she has been confronted by Charlie and several waiters one after another, and she is naturally annoyed. At this moment, she completely ignored the fact that the supervisor was pregnant, and took a step forward, grabbed her mobile phone from the girl who had smashed her into the hands of the girl who was waiting for the 120 sound station to answer, and slammed it directly on the ground. Immediately afterwards, she immediately raised her hand and slapped her face fiercely, and gritted her teeth and cursed. "Shame on her face, and dare to yell at me here, don't you know who I am?" As she was talking, Isaac stepped forward, and when he saw this, he hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "Miss, what's the matter with you?" Seeing Isaac's arrival, Cynthia said coldly, Okay, you are here just right. I ask you, how do you manage this group of people under your hands? Even they dare to stand in front of me? When Isaac saw that all three of his employees had been beaten, he didn't need to ask them to know that Cynthia must have vented her anger towards Charlie on them, so he immediately said respectfully, Miss, don't worry, these three do not have long eyes. I must deal with the person seriously. Don't get angry, I will send you back to your room to rest first. Cynthia was also suffocated with anger, and looked at Isaac and said coldly, completely block these three bitches for me. After that, she stretched out her hand and slapped Lily's face again, before turning around and leaving.